Hello, my name is Vanessa Flint, and I'm going to present to you an option for a unilateral approach that the United States could utilize when dealing with foreign policies with a democratic crackdown in Hong Kong. Alright, definition. Unilateralism can be defined as states act without regard to the interests of other states or without their support. Unilateralism is usually contrasted with its opposite approach, multilateralism, which is acting cooperatively with other states, and multilateralism also needs more than 3 states in interactions, but unilateralism can be pursued by only a single state. In other words, unilateralism is when countries put their needs and desires ahead of the betterment of other nations, which is somewhat disregarding duties of foreign aid. If a country only makes decisions that are best for them and continuously isolates themselves from foreign policies and international involvement, it could hurt them in the long run and be deemed as a threat to other nations. If too many nations implemented solely unilateral approaches, it would ultimately create instability throughout the world. There are many world issues that require the involvement and the help of other nations. Unilateralism role in Hong Kong. It is perceived that China has taken advantage due to the fact that they do not reciprocate the open American system, and they gain access to U.S. universities and research institutions, and they get rich off the American marketplace. There's also concern that China is gaming the international system by playing the developing country card, which kind of can relate to how China has the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, and also Trump has Make America Great Again, and they're similar. They avoid international obligations and responsibilities. The U.S. must use tools and leverage to take a more unilateral approach regarding this issue. To pressure China to change its economic practices, the U.S. imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. imports from China, with almost all imports from China scheduled to be subject to additional tariffs by December 15, 2019. The issue is very critical to U.S. national interests due to the fact that China is their biggest trade and export. Some of the public urged Trump to break commercial ties and apply tough sanctions. United States role in unilateralism. Predominantly, the Trump administration has embraced unilateralism, criticizing institutions such as NATO and announcing the United States withdrawal from others such as NAFTA, World Health Organization, Paris Agreement. Even his very first day in office, he abandoned the TPP, which is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which declared an end to the era of multinational trade agreements that defined global economics for decades. The United States has taken action on the issue of the democratic crackdown in Hong Kong, China. A major part of this was China passed the National Security Law, and under this new law, secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces, it incurs maximum penalties of life imprisonment. This law also tightens controls over education, journalists, and social media. People could be taken to mainland China for unfair trials because China was trying to get people extradited. The wording of Hong Kong national security laws asserts jurisdiction over people who are not residents of Hong Kong and have never even set foot there. That means pretty much like anyone on Earth, regardless of nationality or location, can technically be deemed to have violated the law and face arrest and prosecution if they are in a Chinese jurisdiction. The strongest step readily available to the Trump administration would be to revoke Hong Kong's special economic and trading status with the U.S. Legislation was introduced to impose sanctions on Chinese officials and entities that enforce the proposed national security laws, and the measure would sanction financial institutions that do business with entities violating Hong Kong's autonomy. Trump also signed the Hong Kong Autonomy Act in order to hold China accountable for its oppressive actions. If the United States took a unilateral approach in helping solve this issue, it would involve more economic sanctions, which is sanctions and visa limits on Chinese officials and banks involved in imposing Beijing's new national security law. And they could accept refugees from China so that China is not able to extradite them back to their mainland. Trump has taken some steps to place a special focus on the admission of Hong Kong residents as refugees, but more steps can still be taken. And here is the work cited if you have any more questions. Thank you.